Okay, so yeah, hi, so welcome to Leah's Corner. My name is
Thank you.
Amy. And I'm Lily. Yeah, we are two besties together to host this podcast today. This is the first episode of the season 3 talking about career talks. And I'm so glad to have you here as you are the youth empowerment speaker and book writer. So first of all, could you please introduce a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Lawrence, and I'm a speaker, an author, and I help teenagers and young adults improve their self love, confidence, and just feel better about themselves.
So we will move on to the part 1, talking about warming of icebreaker. So I was curious about your motivation to start becoming a youth empowerment speaker and a book writer. So the first question is, what first drew you to writing and public speaking?
Well, the thing that drew me to speaking, I've always been a really talkative person. Like, I was a kid who loved to talk a lot, and then I would hear about people who got paid to do that. Like, they would go up on stages and go to schools and motivate people. So that's what made me want to decide to do that. And with writing books, I thought for people who don't want to listen to a speech, or maybe they don't have access to the internet, they could read a book that I write and that could help them.
So what song would perfectly describe your writing or speaking style?
Let's how would I describe it? Hmm. I would describe my writing and speaking style as just genuine, personal, and however I'm feeling. Sometimes it's very like emotional and passionate. Sometimes it's very thought out. Sometimes I plan it. Other times I just share however I'm feeling right in that moment.
So Uh, is there someone like who or what inspired you when you started?
Oh yeah, there were a lot of people who inspired me. Have you ever heard of Tony Robbins? Yeah, he inspired me. That was one person. Um, I met another speaker when I was 11, and he helped inspire me to believe in myself more. I had family members who told me to believe in myself, and there were just summer camp counselors who inspired me, and I wanted to help inspire other people.
Say that you are inspired when you was a young age and then you just
Yeah.
started doing some meaningful things to the host community. That's great. And for now we are moving on to part 2, talking about creative process and uncover work. So the first question for Lily. Okay, so I want to know what's the most challenging part of writing or crafting a speech for you?
Sometimes you overthink it. So you want it to be really, really good. And you might get nervous and you think, what if the people reading this or they heard the speech, what if they don't like it? And you judge yourself too much. That was something I dealt with for a long time. Now, one of the challenges I deal with when writing and speaking is sometimes you forget what you want to say. Like, you get so excited, or there's so many people looking at you, and you start to just forget what you had planned. But then you remind yourself that you've done this before. You calm down and you just let it happen.
Uh, that's really amazing. Like you are always positive and enthusiastic at all the times. Okay, yeah. So another question is like, Do you have any rituals or habits before you start writing or speaking?
There's a lot that I do. Sometimes I'll listen to music to get myself excited. I'll drink water because when you're up there and you're talking for an hour, sometimes your throat gets really dry and you don't want to lose your voice in the middle of a speech. Um, when I'm writing, I'll write in a really quiet place so there's nothing distracting me. And sometimes I'll go for a walk outside. That way I don't get too stressed out.
Activities that can help you
Yeah.
refresh your mind, then you just start doing something better. Yeah, okay, so for now we are moving on to part three, experience and emotions. So the first question is like, is there a speech or piece of writing that you are most proud of and why?
Mhm. One of them is a book I've been writing. And in that book, I talk a lot about my own mental health, how I was able to get better, and how I was able to help other people get better. So, in terms of things I've written, that's what I'm most proud of. And in terms of speeches I've gave, a few months ago, I gave a speech to a summer camp, and it was a camp that I used to be a camper at. So they called me and said they asked me if I would come there and inspire the kids and show them what's possible because I used to be in the same chair that they were. And I felt really good to see them smiling and everything they had to say about it.
So, has negative feedback ever changed the way you write or speak?
Has anything negative changed the way I write or speak? Um,
Yeah.
well, you repeat the yeah. Well, yeah, there have been people who didn't like what I said. When you decide you want to do something different, you want to become a speaker or write a book or just do anything that's different than what most people do, you have to be able to not let the judgment weigh down on you. You have to not allow the bad opinions to hold you back because not everyone's going to like what you do. And I used to change myself. Like I would change what I say, I would change how I dressed, I would change a lot of things. But once I started to feel more confident and just accept who I am, the negative opinions and negative events didn't hurt me as much.
Uh, Although you receive some negative feedback, but you just try yourself to overcome it and to change better, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So another question is like, has there been a moment when what happened on stage or that was completely different from what was going inside you?
There were some speeches I gave where I got so nervous that I started stuttering and I forgot what I'm going to say. So I had to make up the rest of it on the spot. Um, there were other times when what I said was so much better than what I had planned. Like I had a speech planned about how to handle hard problems in life, like how to handle bullying and people not liking you. But I got nervous, and instead, the speech became about how when we are able to love ourselves, it's a lot harder for problems to weigh down on us because we don't let other people's opinion hurt us so badly. So yeah, there were some times when what I said, I just started stuttering and I forgot what I had planned. There were other times when it came out better than I had planned.
Yeah, that's great. And for now, we are moving on to part four. talking about philosophy and perspective. So, what do you think is the key to making your message truly resonate with readers or listeners?
Hmm. You have to be willing to be judged. So a lot of times we want it to be perfect. We want our message to be as good as possible and for everyone to like it. But for it to really resonate with people, it has to be genuine. You have to really care about what you're talking about. You have to share personal things about yourself, and you can't hold back, because if you try to only share the good side, it's not going to resonate with people as much, because they want to know that you've made mistakes before. They want to know that you're a real person just like them. And for anybody who maybe you want to write a book, be yourself. The people who like it are going to like it, and the people who aren't going to like it, they won't. So just be yourself.
If you could uncover one thing about your profession for others to truly understand, so what would it be?
Um, One thing I would uncover about it is that if you want to go on podcasts, you want to go up on stages or do the things I do, there's a lot of parts of it that are really boring, like sending emails to people or planning events or trying to figure out when you need to get to the airport to catch a flight. There's a lot of boring parts to it. You're going to read a lot of books, because I talk a lot about mental health. So if you decide you want to be a speaker or you want to write a book, you have to be willing to study, because to write a book on something, you have to know a lot. And to give a speech on it, you have to really care about what you're talking about. So it's a career that is really good and it's really fun, but you have to not rush it, because I've been doing this for 4 years, and for the first year, nothing much was really happening. I was just trying and trying and just trying to figure it out. But eventually, if you just stick with it long enough, you'll make it happen.
Amazing point. And another question is like, what true or personal story have you hesitated to share to the public, but still think about revealing it one day?
Oh, well, I've shared a lot of my really personal stories recently. Um, One that I have shared before, but I used to be really hesitant to share, was the story about when I was growing up and my dad disowned me in front of a church. And it was a really emotional time for me, because I felt like he didn't care and that nobody cared. And then I just no longer talked to him anymore. And that hurt for a really long time, because I just wanted to feel like people cared about me. And through things like therapy and getting help, I was able to get better. But the day when I shared that story, I had people emailing me afterwards telling me how much it helped them, because they knew that they're not the only one who had that problem and felt bad about themselves. And sometimes this is another thing about being a speaker. Sometimes the thing that you're afraid to share to people is actually going to help someone.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so I have another extra question like, is there a moment that made you quit? I mean, something a moment that made you wanted to quit your current job right now?
Yeah, there were a couple. So whenever I'm traveling somewhere and I have to pay for my flight or I rent an office space where I record my YouTube videos and it costs me a lot of money every month. And sometimes I'll have days where I don't make any money and it's stressful because I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to pay for it? But then there are other moments before that when I would be making videos when I didn't have an office and I'd have to make them outside and people would be like honking their cars at me and throwing stuff. And it was really stressful because I just wanted to like help people. And then there's other people who are like screaming at me outside their cars. And people used to send me like really mean messages and make videos about me. So it was really discouraging, but I just told myself I'll keep going at it and listen to the people who are supporting me and not the ones who are just trying to tear me down.
Inspirational, right? And so for now, we are moving on to the final part, future and advice. So Lily,
Yes, so I'm really curious about, are there any upcoming projects or speech you excited about?
Yes. So on October 18th, I'm actually doing a speech for a organization in my city about teenager mental health. So that's the biggest thing coming up for me recently.
yeah, that's really amazing.
So, if you had one day to relive your past, and which day you would choose and why?
Oh, that's a really good question. If I could relive one day of my life, what would it be and why? Hmm. Oh my gosh, there's so many I could pick from. Um, hmm. I would probably go back to my 10th grade year in high school. I had this English teacher who he would always tell me that the way I write isn't normal. Like I don't write normal grammar. And he would tell me that no one's ever gonna like understand the way I write. I'll probably go back to that day and tell him I'm gonna become an author. Uh there was also another day that came to my head with I had an ex-girlfriend when I was in 11th grade who at the time I wanted to learn Vietnamese actually. And she spoke fluent Vietnamese. I would have asked her to teach me how to do it. That's one day I would have went back to. I would have gone back to my high school graduation and got more photos. Um, I would have went back to maybe my 8th birthday because I remember I got like this really cool dinosaur cake. Um, and it was just a really happy day. So those are a couple.
Okay, so another question. If you had one day when money didn't exist, so what would you do?
One day where money didn't exist. So like everything is free. Uh, if there was a day where money didn't exist and everything was free, I would probably go. Huh, I would probably take a flight to some random country. Like I would travel really far. I would get a really nice house, and I would take myself to a fancy dinner.
Really amazing. So yeah, this is the end of the episode today. And I'm so grateful for you having time with us today to share your insight, your ideas, and your career or journey to us. So this is really amazing. Yeah, I'm so grateful for your support today. So
Thank you.
is
I
there a
enjoyed it.
final? Yeah. So is there a final message or piece of advice that you would give to our listeners at the end of the show?
The final piece of advice I would give is that you have to believe in yourself, because if you want to achieve something, you have to try. And when you start trying, you're going to have times where people say no. You're going to have times when it's hard. But if you just keep going, something will work. Maybe not the first time, but eventually. And you don't need to win every time. You just need to win enough times that you become successful.
Thank you for your
Yes.
useful advice.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.